so much for joining us. I'm Dr. Shelley, and today we have an especially gifted lineup of questions that help to attract what you expect, reflect what you desire, become what you respect, and mirror what you admire. While the author of this poem is unknown, we do have our very own well-known champion of these sentiments, our Dr. Paul. So welcome, Dr. Paul, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
So the word is mine now.
It's yours.
Yeah. So like everybody, you go to event, and then you get frustrated, right? So I have to recenter now, in rezone in the space to do this conscious momentum. It's my pleasure, to meet you every 2 weeks and to answer your question. And this week I look at the question. They are very philosophical, existential. We will have also to survey other questions that are also practical. But I like the philosophical question. Don't take me wrong, because all my life I read philosophy, psychology, metaphysics, and so on. Try to put all the pieces together. The one who will tell you has put all the puzzle together. You should probably run from that person. So it's like everyone share a piece of this understanding, and this is what we will do at this event. So many questions were relating to the self, the freedom of choice, archetype, and we will of course go in this, and the course is also that the curriculum is addressing this question. And sometimes some can sense that they can feel there is a thread there, but sometimes when you go from one course to another, it's difficult to tie all the dots together. So we will have kept some question at the end with the video holistic anatomy, because as we grow in the university, we try to improve courses, illustrate it a bit more, with our visual technique and course, some concept, and hopefully this brings some light. And but we have to start with this testimonial. And this lady, this is a very touching testimonial, because one of my students came to I don't remember the date of the Congress, and this was very touching. And this is in some way not the only situation like this. It's like people join the curriculum, they have to deal with the disease or a member of their family, and they discover a new way to look at the problem. And this one, when I met this lady the first time, she brought me to tears, because her husband has absolutely exhausted all the resource of the medical field, and herself, she's a physical assistant, and then she's left at herself. The medicine can do nothing for them. And how many of clients I've met in my life, how many patients were at the end of the road without any answer, and then you just have to go back home. And there is of course other way to look at the problem from other angle, and this is what we're bringing in the Quantum University, in the curriculum. And I said this many times, it's like, of course you will discover a new tool as it goes, and especially in this time now, you have so many technology popping here and there, and it's fantastic. But more important, this is the awareness of the situation. It's kind of the way to look at every problem from kind of a quantum point of view, from a self point of view. And we will discuss this in the future in the question. And then you can see that a client can come from everywhere. It's not because they belong to the medical field that they have all the answer. And you find probably the same percentage in the medical field of people interested in integrative medicine or alternative or quantum medicine that you find in the population. So it's not strange. And you have to look for these friends or these people that share your point of view in your area, because you will like to work with them, you know. And this is what Dr. Justin Reeves shared with you in one of the testimony. He was working on a cancer patient with an alternative approach, but at the same time, he had the support of the medical field. So, and this will go in the year to come. That will be more and more happening, because medicine in some ways is doomed. You know, there is so many problems as are unresolved. They don't have the deeper approach, and we bring them a lot of answer. And then go to your curriculum, you will be in a very privileged situation to make that bridge with professional out there, or you may be a professional too, and you will see that now with the new coaching program that we're putting together will be a way to integrate this new aspect of integrative quantum medicine the way you target. So let's see this testimony. Thank you.
My name is Linabelle Finnegan, and I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. So I was going for PA, so I already got all my requirements to start a physician assistant program and getting into UMKC. When I realized that the current hospital system is not what I want to do, there's just too much on just two options, whether it's just drugs or surgery. And so then I started looking for alternative medicine, and I found IQUIM. So I attended last year and really got excited. I never knew all the different things that we can do and the latest technology, and most especially the reality, because I've always known that there's something more than just the regular Newtonian, physics that we know. So quantum physics really made sense to me, and quantum medicine is really then I decided to pursue it. And so I was so excited and I did it. But then right after, my husband got sick, and last year, immediately after, we went around before Thanksgiving, and we were involved in the hospital, really got into the hospital system for almost 9 months that he was sick. And that's where I firsthand experienced the current hospital system. He came in on an acute pancreatitis, really healthy. He was an All-American wrestler, but then no alcohol, no drugs, no smoking, and yet he got acute. So they couldn't explain what was happening in his body, but he was in a lot of pain. And then they accidentally perforated his bile duct. He got septic and transferred it to another hospital. So in other words, he got very sick, until the doctor finally said, I cannot do anything. So the words of the doctor is he doesn't want to operate on a dead person. I took him home, and I just started doing what I learned just from the short time I was there. I did brain tap, and I did a lot of enzymes, nutrition, and lots of prayer, definitely an essential oil. And so those are the things that I did, and my husband got healed. The doctor said it was a miracle. And so his last surgery was just 4 weeks ago. He had to have, he developed a hernia because he was so malnourished from the last surgery. So after the surgery, my husband and I decided I should really pursue this. So I'm coming in the second time even more excited because of the experience that I had and what I know quantum medicine can do. I recommend it to all, really. because even if you don't want to do anything, you know, in every facet of life, seriously, because it's a knowledge that you have an alternative. There is another option that you can do. And because just sometimes this word that you hear from a doctor, it's not a sentence, you know. Sometimes people think it's a sentence for life, like my husband, when we got the word that we're just going to wait. It's like, no, this is not his destiny. You know, God still has a plan for him, and we're going to fight it, and we're going to do this together. So it was really wonderful to have that to be armed. I believe that IQueen, yeah, gave me the tools to be able to help my husband. I am.
Yes, well, Linabelle did find her way to miracles and confirmation that QU is her path to the tools she needed most. Let me stop sharing the screen here so we can come back to you. All right, go ahead, Dr. Paul. Did you have some follow-up thoughts about that video?
Oh, yeah. So you hear Linabelle, okay? Sometimes people think, oh, multidimensional approach of medicine is complicated. And this is exactly what she done. It's a mix of, first, you know, her love is pretty obvious, you know? And when we speak about supramental and bliss body, then the prayer were there. And then when you speak about the mind body, then she was also working with tapping and reframing. So, and then she used also enzyme. So this was more the physical body, and essential oil carry on some effect on the vital body. So here, in other words, you have she has tapped in these different layers of information. So this is what we talking when we speak about multidimensional approach. So that in some way this is not present in medicine, because in medicine it's like you just try to do the physical, the surgery, and then you know, in his case, a pancreatitis was an inflammation of the pancreas. The pancreas is also connected with different emotion. So we see this in the Taoist medicine. It's probably she had in some way a wrap or embed, you know, the healing of this, you know, maybe conscious problem or moral problem or so on. So, and then to the EFT also. So, and then, but medicine doesn't know that. Medicine doesn't know that if you have the pancreas is where your enzymes are fabricated. So she has had a lot of enzyme, essentially all you wouldn't discuss which one she has used. So you understand now, you know, instinctively, maybe from the course of she understood that, you know, the husband need a kind of a holistic approach. And, you know, happily, you know, the husband get cured, but, you know, if she was not in some way imprint of this information, so nothing will happen. And this is the mission of the Quantum University, is to kind of broaden the understanding of medicine through an extent curriculum. Medicine is kind of narrowed or not following a path which is kind of with an outdated model of science, where the only reality is the physical, and here's the only outcome of healing is pharmaceutic and surgery. But now, you know, how can you you know, justify other approach when the model of science that is out there is linear? So this is what is the mission of Quantum University, was to broaden this, you know, more comprehensive curriculum that we are improving all the time, but that add this biofield or bioterrain, emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual, that we can address to different. So this is totally, you know, radical, because sometimes people come out, they are already preaching or belong to the choir. But when you are in the reality of healthcare, these concepts are not there. So this is the mission of Quantum University, to go out there, be the embodiment of this new science and new approach. And then through all the modality that we are teaching, that we find a way to infiltrate not only the wellness field, but also the healthcare field. So beautiful testimonial, beautiful, and everybody that hear that can be touched. I guarantee you this. And I was very, overwhelmed by her testimony. So let's continue. Let's take the question now. So because we have to cover many subjects. So can you go with the first question, Shelley?
Sure. The first one is really simple. It's, does free will exist all the way up and down the scale of life?
Yeah, this is an existential question, and I probably read on this since my teenager. And then in one class, Dr. Goswami addressed that. But because when you start to add the consciousness dimension to the question, this question that is not, has been asked by all the generation and all the centuries before, Greek was already asking this question, and where is the freedom of choice? So, but in the way I want to translate this, in the way it appeared in the curriculum. And another one also that is a very important contributor to answer that question. It's like a mix of Dispenza and Dr. Amit Goswami. So in some way, Dr. Goswami will say, as long you are in your ego, you don't have freedom of choice, and freedom of choice exists only in the self. So freedom of choice exists only, in other words, when you are in consciousness. So, but how we get there, how we get in this mode where we are totally free. So I would say most of our life, we're living in conditioning. So, and you have all these behaviorists, that came before, and that's are still very present now in psychology, that work on comportment, like, and you all heard about this experiment of Pavlov, the dogs, and they were trained, with a ring and food, and then they take out the food and they were salivating when they have the stimulus. In other words, everything is predictable, and everything is actually predictable, because if you look at the way you have been educated, the environment you have been exposed, the experience you went through, most of the time, the way you will react. And I'm absolutely a part of this thing. I can know how I will react in different kind of situation. And now I'm predictable. I'm predictable. Sometimes I joke, I say, even my cat can predict me, because, I wake up, I go there, I do this, all this kind of ritual in the morning and during the day. And he knows when to come to me, and he knows when he goes sleep. And he, I say, oh, even you can predict me. So, and it's not necessarily unhealthy, because we cannot have our life all the time in pure creativity. This is what Dr. Goswami called fundamental creativity. Is in this zone where you have access to this freedom to reinvent actually everything which is around you, and then it's become unpredictable. And then I don't know if you remember the Quantum Doctor book, and I again go back to this Bible of quantum medicine, because these subjects are discussed in depth, and then I cannot believe if you can read this book just once. I read this more than 10 times. So I invite you to have this, pretty close to your more familiar reading. And so, and then you have this fundamental, and then you have the situational creativity, and then you have this conditional reality. And then, of course, it's Tama, Raja, the Vata, the Pitta, and the Kapha. So there are these three. So the Indian, the kind of the specialists of this consciousness field. So it's like a play during the day of all this. And some, of course, personality has more vata, has more pitta, more, but and kapha, and then of course you cannot be all the time in one zone. So it's good. It's in when you drive. Sometimes people like to drive with the cruise control. So you drive, and there is so many reflex are just conditioning, and it's more relaxing, because when you relax, then you can enjoy the ride. Then you are more in this space of freedom. And the Tesla now, someone really enjoy, because the car drive by himself. So in other instances, okay. So in other words, you are more in the ego mode. You are more in the self mode. You are more, predictable. You are more conditioning. You belong to your unconscious, your and some people even go, beyond life, because they say you come here with some baggage, from ancestor or whatever. So and then you go through life, to the learning process, the infancy, and then experience trauma, and then this is sometimes where people get caught. So in other words, they will react in different way at different situation, and then as long there is enough vital force there, but the conflict come when this conditional kind of reaction experience a new trauma in life, and then this is what Hammer explained. It's like an economy phenomena. Instead, to spend all the energy in conflict, and then you translate this in some kind of disease in the body. So this is, in some way, this question is very important, and how you get out of this, how you free yourself. And then, of course, come along all kind of philosophy, from existentialists, and all kind of religion, where they call the need kind of a grace phenomena to free themselves from this kind of luggage. And so
Did you hit mute? We can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, now you're back.
Okay, so another one that addressed this is very interesting is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Because Dr. Joe Dispenza in this business, to look how the brain react, behave, you can follow all the, I think it's now 4 or 5 books he wrote it, from what was the first was how you evolve your brain, how you change your habits. So it's all about how you change patterns and behavior that has been destructive, and now in a more constructive way. And then one corner, I would say one peak experience in his teaching is about going beyond the mind. In other words, he set up this seminar where in group people will have access to altered state of consciousness, and he has documented this with brain waves, brain mapping. In other words, and when they go in this altered state of consciousness, they touch this, they are getting this self mode, where in some way they can restructure their understanding. They have, like, this is what Dr. Deepak Chopra, call about the quantum leap, that we are thinking. And then in this quantum leap, you have a kind of momentarily and kind of an insight that you can get out of your conflict and redesign, rebrain circuit, the way you react to life in a way that is more healthier, and you get out of this trap that the conditioning, unconscious conditioning has created with you. So in other words, and then when you look at some kind of a philosophy enlightenment, this is what is enlightenment. In some way, they propose this kind of path and the Buddha kind of thing, where you get in a space where you are free of everything, free of pain. So, and you are in the world and you are not in the world, and so on. And this is so, and then but let's become back on earth, because most of us, sometimes we have this kind of insight. We can flip in, out. We can have this moment of creativity. We come in, and life goes on, and then like like the beginning of this conference, okay? Get upset, then work out. I was in my ego mode. I have to kind of recenter and then talk from a more self mode. And so is it now at some level of our existence? Yeah, we are not free in some way. We are on the automatic conditioning pilot, and then in some way it's not necessarily bad, because people say, "Oh, ego is bad." No, it's not necessarily. It's what is wrong, not bad, but it's like what we want is we want the awareness of that. We want to be able to witness, the who we are. So because at the end of the journey, you will be you will go and flip and out, and people think sometimes they kind of put on a pedestal this kind of guru, and they think they are like this kind of perfect being, or the saint, or this enlightened. No, let me tell you that most of the time they had very strong character, and they because I was around some of them, and they can flip in and out of their state of enlightenment. So people think enlightenment is like you snap the finger. Maybe it has been done for some people, but most of the time it's a growth process. And I'm preparing to answer other questions that have been asked. It's kind of something that's settled all along your life through this archetype quality. And once you then spoke about Jung and this 12 archetype qualities, maybe 12, there is 100 archetype quality, but some we are speaking in the Taoist course relate with the growth process that we are speaking about. People think, oh, I get access to altered state consciousness with drug. But drug this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about something, an integrated process of growth. We're not talking about having kind of out of space experience, and then from where you come back, and then but it's most of the time there is so much gaps between the physical reality, the body you are, the physical, because enlightenment is in every of yourself. And this is where Lipton come along. He says you believe can shift your DNA. So, and then we spoke about this in the last lesson. In other words, it's like goes this movement of growth going toward the self. And this is in some class I speak about the ego mode, the self mode. You also you also grow in this kind of new DNA that we're talking about, that are in tune with higher self, higher archetypal quality. And this Taoist course we designed, and you will see a piece of this video at the end, is so important. And some people go through this very quick. And most of the time I talk to them, how did you like this? Oh yeah, but if I go a little bit deeper, they don't understand. They don't remember about nothing about it. So it's like the quantum doctor, because it has to be in review, because you can in some way work on the meridian to the qua and the marvelous vessel to add to in some kind tune the flow of life to this accordingly higher resonance, higher self. And this we will you can visit the pro-conscious meditation. We will talk about this in this kind of class. So oh yeah, I took so many time on this question, but I didn't even surface I didn't even surface the answer, because we could go and look at the literature, and we can look at the philosophy, as I said, we can look at all the religions and try to answer that question of freedom. And let me tell you, sometimes it's fake. People think be free is do whatever you want, whatever you want to eat, and whatever and whatever and whatever. No, this is not what we're talking about. This is not, now when you say that, this is a proof, or that you are still in the ego mode, because higher integration come with responsibility, come with, you don't belong anymore to yourself. You belong to the universe. You belong to this question of where I could be the best of myself, in this bigger plan. So as long you are in this kind of ego, thing, you can think about freedom is like, the perfect lifestyle, cocooning, whatever. No, what we're talking about is way more than this, because some people that have achieved, I'm not even close to that, have achieved this kind of experience. They are the Mother Teresa, they are the Gandhi. They don't even belong to themselves. They belong to the higher self. They belong to this higher mission, that they have been designed to. So, okay, good enough for now.
Oh, yes.
Good. So we have other question now. We have to treat that.
We have so many other questions, and we do get to come back to the archetype later on in the call, though. And it's like Lama Goswami doing his doobie doobie doo. But remember Rupert Sheldrake's experiments, right? So with your pets being non-locally connected to you, so maybe it isn't just your habits that your feline is responding to. Could be
Yeah. So the Goswami doobie doo, it's like, yeah, you go in this kind of moment of silence, and where nothing happens. You dive in this transcendent experience. This is what is for consciousness meditation, because in some way, to reach creativity, to reach this higher self, it's a meditation that is transcending. It's not like because people think that meditation to this like a walk in the park. It's like a guided meditation. It's okay. You get probably in alpha mode. It's good because we have to expand all of this level. But we're talking about something that brings yourself, in the singularity point, in this in the non-locality, in transcendence. This is very important. So, and then you go there, and then do meaning that you go in action. And I remember Maharishi was saying the same thing. You don't meditate for 5 hours a day. No, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you go in action, because you had to train yourself, to this, bring down this new this higher thing. So this is a process that takes time in some way. So do this is what it is. You go there, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and the same thing. You study the curriculum. You go. I told you, half hour a day, an hour a day, and then you go in action. And then these concepts that has been learned or studied, little by little get imprinted in your practice. Now you develop new brain circuit, new way to understand things, new way to approach your client. And then when you get in the field, then of course, there is a panoply now, a spectrum of new technology that can be worked with. Then, you are ready to choose what is the best for you. So yeah, the doobie-doo thing. This is how we, from this question of conditioning, it's like you are in the creative, you are free, because when you transcend, you are free. And then then you get back, and then you get caught sometimes in the spiral of life. And then this is a journey when you start to you need to master it's like you have within yourself like a horse that is not tuned with the self. Whatever. Okay, let's go.
Let's go to the next question. But oh my gosh, I'd love to talk about the horse and walk in the labyrinth, and how that allows you to connect non-locally with your horse. But okay, let's move on. And you're not off the hook yet, because listen to the next question here. The concept of all those things that were considered ridiculous to the mind, that was not able to conceive the reality of possibilities, has become something perhaps better prefaced with at least curious observation. Please speak about the fine line dividing fantasy, which might actually be genius.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly
They're saying, what's genius? Where do you make the dividing line between genius and fantasy?
You know, because I'm refer all the time that in the term we have in the curriculum, you're in the genius moment when you are in the fundamental creativity, meaning that you are out, you know, you redefine totally the content, the new environment, and then you come with a new correlation with a new, you know, content. So because this is where you are in this moment, but this is not fantasy. Creativity is not fantasy, because some people are caught in the fantasy world. Really, fantasy world is like the imagination world. People are caught in something that is not necessarily real, and that can be, it's not grounded, cannot be manifest. Very rare people that are living in the fantasy world manifesting, because it's not grounded. When you speak about genius, now you draw from the archetype new contexts of a new understanding. So it's like this and this, like, let's say, take the example of Einstein. He's a genius because he drew totally a new equation, and now redefine totally the whole, has an impact of totally on what we were looking at the world. So this is genius. The fantasy kind of person is like, oh, he's in this kind of floating in this dreamy world, but nothing is grounded, nothing can be manifest. That makes sense?
Makes sense. And here
Okay.
we go a little bit deeper. Universal archaic patterns and images that derive from the collective unconsciousness are considered the psychic counterpart of instinct. So could these inherited signals be used to define just angles of different perspectives, but of the same experience?
Yeah, the archetype, you know, we will address this more at the end also. I will not define this as instinct, because when you speak about instinct, I will define this more from intuition. They are related to intuition. So I go back to the 5 body of consciousness, and then first Goswami, you know, made a mix of Jung, you know, where he's saying, okay, the physical is the sensing, the mental is the meaning, the supramental archetype is the intuition, and the vital body is more associated with the feelings. So if we think about archetype, we think in terms of intuition, access to, in some way, or dwelling with what is ruling, you know, the morphogenetic field, where the vital body is drawing the information, you know, for you know, it's functioning. So it's drawing this from the supramental, and it's so subtle, that information, you know, and that has been explained, you know, by the I Ching in this kind of quantic bar, you know, I show this in the course. This is so subtle, in some way cannot be put in words, and cannot have representation. And this is where the quantum computing is going, because, you know, this is the most difficult, you know, because we have access to this kind of a reservoir layer of information in some way when we dwell, you know, in this moment of creativity with this higher information. But now computers are just kind of, you know, connecting together a bunch of information with algorithms, but they don't have access yet to this. But the question is quantum computing will go at that level? I don't have the answer of that. The Goswami say no, but I don't have the answer. And there is this HBO series. What is the name? They are exactly exploring. The definition of the word is a sign is specified. I have my cell phone open.
Computer talk.
So, and then what is the name of this series, HBO? They have, you know, not this robot, but this. You know, and they try to the Western world. So this is exactly what they are exploring. You know, they are trying to recreate humanoid or robots or whatever, that they have the capacity to reflect and to reflect consciousness. So at the beginning, they program, kind of a conditioning reality, but more it goes, they study the human in reaction with them, and then they draw the pattern of behavior to the information. And then it comes a time where the question is, yeah, the human being is predictable, but now the robot is no more predictable because it has access to something higher than. So this is a very interesting question. So archetype, we will go and we address this also at the end. So I hope I touch this information. So instinct, archetype, a reservoir of rule, regulation, information that in some way guide the morphogenetic field, and where the ancient has encoded this in the I Ching, kind of a binary mode of information. And this is why when we study Taoist medicine, I relate to this code, this bar. And this is where we will see this in the video, where you have the spine, the core, the spine, the atomic heart, and then you have the quas, the meridian, and the quas is where we can access this type of information. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Let's move a little bit.
The next one is just a comment, so I can tell you, what if the robots of Westworld aren't accessing consciousness, but actually consciousness chooses to express through them? But that's a thought.
Yeah.
Today, but you'll
so I don't have the answer to this.
No,
let's be humble. Hopefully, we are the owner. But who knows? Who knows?
Here's your next comment. I do so love and enjoy and feel motivated for further learning with Dr. Paul's discussions on Conscious Momentum Thursdays. I feel though that a summary of each course, or I don't know if this student meant each call, or if anyways, a summary of each course would further clarify and build on hierarchical learning of this great quantum medicine repository we as students are developing.
Okay, so don't forget, many of you have got the brain tap, what do we call that? The brain tap, there was so many names for this, with the super learning. Most of my classes, I made like a resume. This is what she's asking for. And then you can use the brain tap at the end. It's the reason, and I wrote this. Dr. Poulter, with his magnetic voice, is using the brain tap, so you have the visual at the same time. He just through the audio lecturing the concept of the program. So this is what we call super learning. Very few people use this trick there, and so the people who has the brain tap, go for it. And then the past we had the Mind Fit. If you don't have any of this device, you just put an earphone on your ears and you listen these audio that are last maybe for 20 minutes. And this is before you go to bed, instead to play with your iPhone. So you listen this, and then this is how you integrate the concept of the program. So this is there. There's so many things there. So people pass and they don't. And we should emphasize when we do the intro to the program to the student to use this thing, because it helps a lot. One of the complaints we had at the beginning is like, oh, I am 50, 60, I don't have memories. These things, this is not true. I believe I'm smarter than I was 20 years old doing my medical school, because we today have so much more information. And we have, it's not only that, who was speaking about that? It's like, Bill Gates. He called that incremental knowledge. And then for him, incremental knowledge is to have like a skeleton on which you tie your information. Most of the time when you get in medical school, you get in university, you don't have that. It's like piece of information is coming here, coming there, and then you don't have like kind of the background to tie the information. In our context or environment, consciousness, when you start to awakening consciousness within yourself, you get that. You get this sense that you own the source of knowledge, because consciousness is the source of knowledge. So you start to, do this incremental thing where you have, you know how to organize the piece of information from transcendence to manifestation, from self to ego. You see, you have like a way to organize information. When I was in medical school, I'm sorry, I was I'm still the most messy guy in the world, accordingly to some observer living around me. But I didn't have a way to connect all this information. So I would just, take in. But today, if I was going medical school, I will have like, look at the Julie March, who came a couple of weeks or a month ago. She's the first of her class, because you know what? These kids, she's probably a little bit older, doesn't have this frame to organize the information. She has it, and plus she's smart too. There's no doubt about it. Okay.
Yes, she's got all those neurological pathways really working for her. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, but any student here that follow what we talk, pick like a meditation or something to transcend and study back and forth, will develop that. Anybody? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna take your word on that. I think it's true.
Oh yeah, sure. It's like I was at some seminar with Dr. Goswami and then Dr. Fanning, doing brain mapping. Brain mapping. How you assess your IQ now is how much neuropsychicity you have developed, and how you increase your neuropsychicity is when you start to gather and organize information. And the quality of information that we are talking about in this curriculum, this is about that. So every day now, when you're listening this, you're creating already new brain circuit. When you studying Goswami, Dr. Goswami, Lipton, blah, blah, all these college of doctor we have put in the curriculum, you are creating this new brain circuit, and it's not your choice. It's happening. It's happening. And plus, if you join the noosphere, then you give another kick to the whole thing, because now noosphere is about expanding your meditation from the ego mode to the self mode. Is connecting with other to make happen in the world this intent to heal others, heal yourself, heal other. Because I was, let's be honest, most of the healer and I'm part of this, came to medicine or came to this curriculum because the first one that were interested, this was in themselves, even if they has this is what is her name, Linabelle, heal her husband, but it's about herself too, it's like anyway. So yeah, no, they
okay.
and then we when we select our student, we are selecting the smartest. Okay.
We are attracting the smartest because we have so many accomplished people. Okay, I am going to get on to the next question because
okay, go.
Okay, this really does have to do with Project Noosphere, though, because I've been speaking with students and telling them about our availability of Project Noosphere to be able to use the group of 8, for example, to do their intention, to be able to connect with other people. So one student wrote, we spoke about me creating an autism group and attempting to connect with other students who might also be interested. And she's referring to the Noosphere site. If so, is it ready? Can she feel like, or can other students feel like they can get on Project Noosphere now and build their own groups for the intention of 8?
Yeah, the software is there, and I think, Shelley, you know how to do this.
Yes.
You've done this with other group. So she should contact you after, and then you get her to the website how to click here and there to do this together. And then we're coming now with a 2.0 version of the Noosphere website. We will add a lot of new feature, but that feature will absolutely stay there. So maybe, Shelley, I will invite you. You can help her to set up her group there. Absolutely. And welcome. This is there. There is no cost. It's not the, it's therefore creating this critical mass of people that gather together, instead to get divided, unifying through this intent.
Okay, the next question, it's going to be a bit of a long read, so bear with me because I think it is important. There was a news segment the other day about a young girl who had suddenly died in class due to undiagnosed arterial venous malformation. The mother was addressing the bullying of her daughter and had been dealing with this for several years. She'd been experiencing headaches, went to the hospital 7 times in the past 2 years. Our student's question is, epigenetics states that environment causes change in the gene's expression. If this young girl was being bullied, is it possible this issue could have been avoided or addressed and dealt with through integrative medicine? Or is this one of those issues, that maybe had other meanings or cannot be changed for all the possibilities that sometimes people go through these life experiences?
This question is very touching for me because in some way this reminds me my brother. Okay, he died. He was 17. I was 18, and at 15, he started to have this headache, and then he go to see doctors and neurologists, and then we go to a specialist in. We were living in a small town, and so we go Quebec City and people were just laughing at my mother. Okay, they never take her seriously. And then if when I was doing my medical school, I went back and looked in the file, and then he was even the subject of you have every week they took a case, and then the specialist, this pundit. We gather around, and at the end of the day, the conclusion was this is this kind of anxious mother with a psychosomatic child. That was the answer. So, and then she came back in our town, and of course, that was awful because this pain, this headache was really excruciating thing. So my family doctor. And he is the reason why I became a medical doctor. He took on himself. Can you believe that? Because we were, not really fortunate. We didn't know what to do with this problem. So he took on himself to ambulance my brother to Boston. So meaning, Canada Healthcare, okay? He brought him to Boston, and finally they proceed to a surgery, and then they discover that he has an osteosarcoma of the skull. Can you believe that? Usually it's the knee. You have this famous guy in Terry Fox in Canada who done this marathon. He has an osteosarcoma of the knee, and not to collect money. I don't know if you remember this in the year, but the skull, you cannot cut your head. And then he came back, and then this was another 2 years of excruciating pain, and my mother, and this is where, of course, if you read the book Creative Integrative Medicine, this is where I decided to go medicine, try to find a healing. And this is where we come back now to this bullying kind of thing. Yeah, maybe. And then I tried to understand why he had this, and and I found in the history that he has like a trauma, but was it the only thing? So in some way, my answer now, the way I went to medicine, I was not happy with all the answer I had there, and I kept digging in the all these alternative medicine, acupuncture, homeopathy, naturopathy, and so on, it is a quest in some way to prevent this kind of thing. You follow me? And the answer yes is yes, but it's not necessarily simple. It's like, you have, in this case, probably you will have to do some social medicine. You will have to understand, the bullying thing, what's happened. This is, to dismantle the whole thing. So, but most of the time this happened, and it's like, the mother doesn't know what to do, and at the end of the day, what is, can we cure everything? Probably now, and I believe in 10 years, with the knowledge we implement now in quantum medicine, with all this resource, we're working now with, all type of energy, subtle energy, and yeah, we will be able to address that. So why in her, and is the bullying phenomena was part of the, probably sure, and and then as a society, of course we have to become more, open to this more, but let in some way, the medical system is not ready to embrace this holistic approach that will have be able to in some way heal this problem, because now the problem have a social thing, personal, genetic, and so on. So what will be the come out, in few years of this event? Probably something else will come out of this, we don't know. So this is one answer. The other answer, we are not God. The answer is like, we cannot cure everything, of course, and everyone has a destiny, and we bounce back now in this freedom of choice and freedom and so on. But at the end, we don't have answer to everything, but it's kind of so through life and being exposed to many patient, client, calling the way this, and some have this creative moment. They have this kind of miraculous, they put all the pieces together. The other, no, they don't, they pass away, and it's out of your hands. And you try to understand. And I told you at the beginning, I said, the one who pretends to understand everything, you rather run from him, because life has this, his should keep his mystery, because the zest will not be there anymore. So I prefer stay humble, try the best we could, improve our understanding of what's happening, and try not to be fatalistic and do option for life all the time, the 100%. But at the end of the day, there is something that it's very difficult to explain. Why my grandson? Okay, he was the lesson of my life. I love this child. You don't have no idea. And then he born premature, 6 months. He went to intensive care, everything, and he was not even supposed to get out. Then he gave us 2 years of life, and then something happened, and boom, boom, he gone. And then that's, even this morning I was reflecting on this. I was thinking about him, because when I went to intensive care, I saw him. He was like, I can felt, he was like Christ in the garden, before the crucifixion, the Jardin des Oliviers, I don't know how to translate this in English, where he sweat blood, and he can see, and then I can felt he was kind of deciding, should I stay here or should I go? He was there enough to have some life there, but he was still not decided if he would go. And of course he decided to come, and he went through a lot of pain, and finally he went. So what is the understanding of all this? I would probably process this all my life. Was it his destiny? I don't know, but he changed us. He's still changing us, at this point. So you cannot understand everything. So this is why, for me, pro-consciousness medicine is a pro-life, some kind of medicine, where you don't decide, you don't have, the man doesn't have all the intelligence to pull the plug, decide their life or death, or it's another subject of conversation. But we cannot explain everything. And I am with you, this lady, and my heart is with her, because I was there with her in this kind of a similar situation. Thank you.
And then it's easy to be, of course, captured by the singularity of the moment, but also if we can expand our awareness and see it from that 360 degree of the oneness or of the all, that transfiguration takes on so much more meaning. But let's move on to the next question. That was a beautiful response. Thank you so much. I'm going to read the next one. Oh, you know what? That was Terry Fox, by the way. And the school children in Canada still study him and celebrate him and do fundraisers for him like every single year.
And you see, osteosarcoma of the knee, you know.
Yep. Okay. I am following as much as possible the bi-weekly Thursday Lifetime offered by you and Dr. Paul, and I'm very grateful for this resource since I am getting helpful clarification and some suggestions and directions how to take the program courses and a whole lot more. That keeps me motivated. Thank you. So that was just a comment. And then now, if you would like to move to our final and concluding video on consciousness acupuncture, because we've been about an hour and
okay, yeah, nice conclusion. But let's before we listen the video, ask the two, you know, you just read the two questions, then we see the video and then I comment.
Okay.
With the two slides.
Yes, so back to the archetypes. Carl Jung defined 12 archetypes that symbolize basic human motivations as well as drive our desires and goals. These archetypes resonate as inherited potentials to become actualized when they manifest in behavior on interactions with the outside world. Are there specific illness or physical symptoms which relate specifically to individual archetypes? Is there a correlation there? And then the second question, do you want to answer that or should I read the next question?
No, read this. We see the movie and then I use the slide to answer the question.
Okay, and then the second one, same?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because they are about in the same,
okay.
They are associated.
Okay, so you want me to hold that second question or read it now and then we watch?
No, read it now, please. Okay. Yeah.
Negative emotion is considered a bad symptom, like an illness to be treated or eradicated. But does it not actually demonstrate that the emotional body is fully functioning and should be cared for and appreciated that it is in its complete function? Positive emotion, after all, is only another example of that same functioning system, yet we act like half the emotional body is sick or diseased when we're feeling, sadness or something that we want to be out of, and while the other half is desirable. The question is, should we reframe our interpretation or perception of emotional wellness?
Okay.
So, okay. And so would you like the slide or would you like me to play the video?
Yeah, let's play the video.
Okay. It's coming, I promise. Oh, it's a slow thing. My screen is really slow. I've already clicked on it, but do you guys see it?
Consciousness acupuncture. Dr. Paul Druin states that it is possible to access a more efficient level of information which restores and harmonizes the morphogenetic fields. According to him, the meridians involved in this process are the marvelous vessels, true optical fibers through which the lasers of the meridians run. These vessels are related locally to the physiological level, the central channel, cerebral gray matter, the spinal white matter and fluid, and their energy is able to move up and down in a spiral manner. The 4 pairs of marvelous vessels carry 8 condensed emanations into the 8 koas. Koas are real subtle energy reservoirs that recharge the meridians at certain times or energy tides. According to Taoist medicine and Marguerite de Sereni, these vessels, or smart paths, have a non-local nature. According to de Sereni, 1996, the 8 koas, or trigrams of Taoist philosophy, are important aspects in the study of subtle anatomy because all of the meridians, or quantum optical channels, are recharged by these energy reservoirs which represent energetic emanations of zero-point energy fluctuations and are located in the white matter of the spinal cord. These reservoirs are also information repositories, or scalar morphogenetic fields that inform the energetic and physiological processes. According to Dr. Druin, 2014, the 8 emanations created by quantum fluctuations condense into the 8 koas, or trigrams of the I Ching from the marvelous vessels. The 8 koas are emanations of zero-point energy, or what Taoism denominates Ho Tu. The fluctuations of the quantum field generate energetic polarities related to the yin, sound, and yang, light aspects, configuring a binary language related to the cosmic manifestation and represented by the informative and energetic matrix of the I Ching hexagrams. This knowledge represents a true quantum model already known for millennia by the ancient Chinese. The atomic heart, according to Dr. Druin, represents a quantum model formed by the 4 bigrams and 8 koas, or trigrams of the I Ching, energetic and archetypal patterns that act directly on the spine. Therapeutic work with marvelous vessels through intention meditation, use of crystals, and sacred geometry, such as the flower of life, koas, and morphogenetic matrix associated with the 5 elements of Taoist medicine developed by Dr. Druin, is capable of promoting the output of the ego or corpuscular mode for a wave-like operation related to the self. This means a broadening of consciousness capable of promoting more positive perceptions and feelings about life and existence.
All right, my mouse disappeared. There we go.
So we work quite a while on these videos. You know, it's like a process of a year. And I was asking this for a year because I want to have like visual of this Taoist medicine class. Okay, because you know we speak about all this energy and this archetype, but there is like in some way a channel or ways to tap in this information. And this is what I call the Taoist medicine consciousness acupuncture, because it's different from Chinese acupuncture, which is good too. But consciousness is less, it has to go with this deeper understanding that, you know, because people think, you know, it's like acupuncture is just, you know, needling the body and then everything get apart. But, you know, you have to be able to go beyond that, because, you know, what brought these imbalance most of the time are these associated with thought and emotion. And Marguerite de Sourani compare, you know, the subtle body or the biofield to a rainbow body, and this rainbow body change color and speed and energy, you know, as we go. And of course, there is an ego mode and a self mode. This is what we will see on the next slide, one of the slides. So, and then that answered the question, the second question, meaning, first of all, you know, she said, eradicate emotion. We don't eradicate emotion. We transform the energy from ego mode. Let's say you speak about love, from jealousy, possessiveness, to in some way altruism, compassion, and unconditional love. You transform that energy tower, the self quality of this archetype, you know? So in other words, we never eliminate things. Most of the time the people say, oh, you know, you can zap trauma. You don't zap trauma, you transform them. You use this energy as, you know, a leverage to go to a higher understanding. You transform this thing. And most of the time the memory is still there, but it doesn't reach you. So let's go to the slide, you know, the ego self. Let's start with this. And then we will go with the other one. Because this idea of, I'm very practical, you know, I speak about this concept, but this has to go somewhere. So this is why you see this not only in the Taoist course, you see it in the Hammer new medicine course, you see it everywhere. And this is what we call qualified self. How can you put a quantity on that? Of course, it's a subjective evaluation. And now, you know, integrative medicine in the textbook, the last textbook, you know, are some way, you know, affirming the I would say it's not an opportunity, the advantage that they are talking now about qualified self-evaluation. In other words, before disease happen, most of the time, you know, this is imbalance of emotion and feeling, and it has to do with the, you know, how energy circulate in the meridian and all this atomic heart and things. So, and then when you look at what your client bring in your office, either love or rage or frustration or, you know, exasperation, or this resonate at different level of the rainbow body. Okay, let's go on the other slide now. So And then because I want to, the video, this course will be accessible in few months. You know, we're preparing the launching of this. So, and then you are privileged because, you know, we deliver some slice of it. So now we're speaking about the quad. You remember here in this video, we're just come back, and then you saw, you know, the quads. You have the energy that's flowing in the core of the spine that we call atomic heart, and then that energy will be filtered to the nervous vessel, and where the meridian get charged, they get charged at the quads. And then of course you can recharge quads, you know, tapping or puncturing on the leaves, but you can also in some way rebalance this core energy through the nervous vessel. This is why, you know, we are teaching this, and I update this course where I show exactly how to do this sequence of nervous vessel, and I do this on myself regularly. You know, when I have some trauma, some stress, some this. So most of the time, you know, I do other stuff, but you know, I take the time to do my nervous vessel. It takes probably 5-10 minutes, and then, you know, you recalibrate everything. And then you remember in the Taoist class, this chart now, you have all access. You're a student, you have access to this class. And then we have, and then you can see a different level of the spine, the quads, and they are associated with different qualities. You know, let's start with at the left corner, the C3, okay? Cervical, you have what they call the twilight, the lake, you know, it's like the Taoist name. It's like, you know, it's like the poetic name, but it's associated with compassion. So in other words, C3, nurturing the heart meridians, and then of course can be modulated to the nervous vessel, you know, and then you see the binary code there, you know, you have the blue 2-bar split, and then the red bar. You can see this kind of binary code translating the compassion. And the compassion, of course, in your life can be in an ego a mode of manifestation or self-manifestation. So this is what she was talking about. Probably, I didn't review the 12 archetype of Jung, but not through Taoist medicine. This is the archetype we're speaking about. Probably Jung has a similar thing, but everybody has compassion, love. And then you go a little bit T1, and then it's, I don't really that, you know, Kwai here, power of manifestation. This is linked with the small intestine, and then it's recharged at T1. And then you have forgiveness at T4. You can see, the Taoist name is there. You have the I Ching code, and then you have the forgiveness, generosity. This is linked with the large intestine. And then you have the T5, deep intelligence. You know, I will not go to all of them, but you know, you have T7, Can, you know, Communion Pro is linked with the lung. Can is linked with the bladder, the sense of decision. This is, you see, these are all archetypes. This is kind of very subtle, you know, information that in some way will guide, you know, the morphogenetic field of these organs, you know, accordingly to the quality of this archetype, the quality of emotion. Same thing with the liver at L5S1, the Rhone, the Quen. This one is very important, L2. This is the life force there. You have Swen, the desire, stomach 2 and 3, lightning, courage. So let's come back now to the studio. So, you know, we don't have our word to explain that, but you see, this information is already done. And of course, when I teach a pro-consciousness meditation, you can, you know, in some way guide, you know, through with the crystal, you know, an ends or target to intention, you know, these archetypes. And then they reflect later on in your life. And of course, you know, it's like, doesn't mean you just click here and then now you become the most loving people on earth. But it's like a journey, a processing where you start to implement these archetypes that that are related with the light body that we're speaking also in this anatomy course. and then what is changing actually your DNA? This is this kind of subtle information. So because people is all out there, they all speak about this junk DNA, and everybody wants to change the DNA. But where are you heading with this? You know, where is the goal? Where is change the DNA? Why? To have like I don't know, walking on water? Yeah, maybe it's not impossible. Yeah, it can. But, in other words, it's like, we have to make a choice, what we want to manifest. But, these 8 archetypes, they cover almost everything, from life force to the sense of courage and knowledge and wisdom and, communion and sense of moral, sense of love, so they cover most all of the aspect of your life. So, so can you take again the question about, so this is how we work with archetype in some way with this full consciousness meditation or the Taoist course, and then when I teach the marvelous vessel, in some way, they are linked, because they are like this scatter of energy from the core of the spine, and they filter this energy. So in other words, when you tap in the marvelous vessel, you reharmonize this energy that flow later on in the meridian. So in other words, instead to work at the leaf and try to find to the season and the role of mother and child and the rule in Chinese medicine to pick at the right place. Now you just go at the core, you affect the whole tree. And I'm telling you, we just had done experiment with, we measure with GDV Korean photography before and after, and the chakra get realigned and so on. It's like there is a new realignment, a training of this flow of energy. So can you repeat the question again, the first question about the archetypes? I want to be sure I answer all the questions. So it starts from Carl Gustav Jung, the 12 archetypes. So can you read the other part?
Are there specific illness or physical symptoms which relate to individual archetypes?
Oh, absolutely. So we can speak about illness, but I refer you back on the Taoist course. Then you look at the meridian. They can be originally in exhaustion, so they have an excess of energy, or they can be in a lack of energy, and then deficiency, and then you have charts where all depend where you are on the flow, on the spectrum. You have disease that could be associated with it. So we look at this for all the meridians, but this is how you tie this with the archetype. It's through this perception of the atomic heart, the quartz, the marvelous vessel, the meridian. So when you get at the organ, now you have this chart with the 5 all the acupuncture meridians with all their meaning associated. By example, if you take the liver, is associated with wisdom, the wisdom that we were referring at the quartz. But if someone gets angry, the thing doesn't go the way he wants, then the meridian get imbalanced, the frustration persists, you don't go back in your center, and then later on, then of course, as longer the meridian, the imbalance is there, then the organ can be affected. So, but if you go back to meditation, then you can tap in this this energy of compassion, not compassion, but the wisdom, and aligning. Most of the time when you're frustrated, it's because you're not in the thing not going the way you want. It's because you have to rethink your goal or your objective. Maybe you have to realign things a little bit so you're more in the flow of the self energy, consciousness energy. So hopefully I answered this question. And please review your classes. Taoist medicine, even if you have passed the exam, you can go back there again, review the marvelous vessel. We will come with this extra class where we teach you the sequence to do this marvelous vessel in 10 minutes. For consciousness meditation, also you can have ask for it. We're teaching with the crystal how to tap in these subtle energy and enhance the reservoir of the quartz in some way. So
This,
Okay, so I think we can conclude on that.
yes, and that really does conclude our conscious momentum for today. And this has been really jam-packed with so much information. I really appreciate your time and all of your insights. Did you have any kind of closing comments? Would you like me to wrap things up?
Yeah, you can wrap, but I can conclude with this. So it's like now we go to integrative medicine, and then we bring in some way a concept of growth, aligned with how Maslow will define it. So health now, has been in the last century defined in so many ways. The first absence of disease, and then, well-being, and then more energy. And now, as it evolved, it's also associated with some kind of maturity, integration of this archetype quality. So in someone healthy is not necessarily someone without pain. It's someone also that is more in balance with everything. So this question of integration that we have implemented in the curriculum, and then we have expressed to the Taoist medicine, new medicine, and all also is very present. So this is what, and I like this question this week because in some way they are very fundamental, and they come from centuries ago. And of course we have some answer here. Not saying, this is, we have the end of the answer, but of course I think it's kind of a solid, the answer are based on kind of solid research with, Dr. Dispenza and Dr. Goswami, and, consciousness, neuroscience, the way to look at behavior from a point of view of growth, a point of view of creativity. This is very modern, and getting out of this, hopeless medicine where there's nothing to do. So yeah, I would conclude like this. So you can add
Okay. Well, that's really perfect, because in conclusion, then, integration is for transformation. Integration for that's our new bumper sticker, our new slogan, integration for transformation. Okay, so if trees are the poems the earth writes upon the sky, as Khalil Gibran then writes, then dendrites are likewise the poems we humans write when our perspective is upward gazing. In other words, that turning your gaze 45-degree angle, that we do in meditation. So we are the body, our body is the information, and that consciousness expresses through, and everyone has free will to modify and change the shape of their form by the thoughts you think and the life you live. So thank you so much, Dr. Paul, for helping to shape those thoughts. We appreciate that very much. And thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you all again on the next Conscious Momentum. Aloha.
Thank you.